morning, everyone. Wow, what a great feeling it is for me to be here. Hope equally for you in the audience. I've been wondering when the last time was that I was actually speaking in front of an audience. I think it's more than 2.5 years ago, so time flies. Getting used to really presenting in front of my screen with only my dog and my cats sitting next to me as an audience. They don't applaud, but I hope you will enjoy the session this morning. So, as rightfully introduced, I will be hopefully guiding you through some insights that we have at SAP on how to build a resilient supply chain. Now that word has been going on ever since the pandemic started, right? What is resilience? What is building a resilient supply chain looking like, and integrating that with your procurement as well? So bear with me for the coming 20-25 minutes to my presentation. Starting with kind of stating the obvious, right? What is innovation? What is disruptive innovation? What is the fact of not doing anything versus doing something? We believe that starting on that journey towards innovation to become resilient starts with technology. Now, we have seen over the, I would say, last 10 years, the evolution on data management, how to manage data, how to use data to be predictive instead of reactive, has changed the business tremendously. Now, I'm not going to say that it's an easy journey. I'm not going to say that it is without any cost, but it is very clear that not doing anything will cost you more than doing something. Okay. Digitalization of supply chains, it's about time. We have no time to lose, right? We have invested in supply chains from a point of view of reducing costs. In the minds of a CEO, supply chain has always been, a transactional system that we need to manage. We leave that to the CEO, he will take care of it, but never has it been seen as a source of innovation. Never has it been seen as an opportunity to grow, to be innovative within a company. So doing everything will still cost less than doing nothing. It's, again, stating the obvious. You will have to invest in your supply chain in order to grow. Cost containment is not enough anymore. Certainly, again, if you have seen what has been happening over the last 2 years, right? Not only the pandemic, but also things like Brexit or the recent very unfortunate events with Ukraine. I'm not going to talk about that because everybody knows that impact, but it is really important that we do that. Okay, supply chains. In 2022, choose your next crisis. Which one to pick, right? Again, I would like to refer to that story of the CEO. A CEO has always pushed supply chains as not a top priority for his organization, right? He has led that to the COO or the finance department to manage that. A CEO now understands that actually supply chains can be a source of differentiation, can be a source of growing and winning in this market. Supply chain is on top of mind of every CEO. That is a fact today. And I would like to put it in 3 levels. First one is technology. Technology as a lever for growth. Everybody knows Industry 4.0, delivering on the promise of an improved performance on your manufacturing. Now, with the story of big data, we can achieve that. Technology as a lever for change. I'm not going to say that you need to invest in any area. You really have to pick the area where you can grow, making it more effective and efficient. So that's the first one, technology as a lever for change, for digital transformation. Second, and that's why we're here, to link supply chains with procurement, it's really about connecting your customers and your suppliers. Creating a network where suppliers and customers know one another. It's about creating a network, a business network, if you wish, of connected customers and suppliers. This is what a CEO expects from us, from supply chain professionals and procurement professionals. Now, this is not happening yet in every area, but once you create that business network, you will see that it is clearly a source of growth. And third, And maybe the most important one, it's meaningful measurements. What are we going to measure? The big story of KPIs, right? Everybody has KPIs to follow, but what is a true definition of KPI? What do you want to measure? What do you want to follow? You can manipulate, I would say, to the extent of whatever you want. But if you manage to measure meaningfully, you could have a great impact. A few examples. Imagine you are developing products, super complex products. Imagine that you give that insight to your CEO about the development of your solution and that you could simplify the simple fact of developing that product. Imagine that you could give that insight to your CEO that would change a lot. Second example, and that is a trend that you clearly see today, right? It's about production. We have seen over the last decades trying to make production so efficient that we have relocated production to remote sites, mostly in China, producing mass production, and then we'll see how we sell it. No, today we live in a world where you have to produce the single solution for your customer, making the lot size of one if you want. So imagine that you could bring to your customer, to your CEO, sorry, those insights on where to produce in one remote site versus producing right next to your customer. There's one example that I want to share, and it's, well, I'm from Belgium, so sorry for that. It's a Belgian example. It's the Koning. The Koning, they make plastics. They make like these frames for, if you wish, for windows and whatever. They used to produce one site. Thanks to these insights that they got from what do we need to do, they are now changing their entire production process, and they have now 7 production facilities right next to their customers all over the world. It's the complete opposite of what we have seen over the last 20, 30 years, relocating to one site versus relocating to multiple production sites. Increase in efficiency, tremendous. And that is really what the CEO wants. He wants to see how we can use technology as a lever for growth, as a lever for change. He wants the insights, the connection between suppliers and customers, and he wants to have meaningful measurements, meaningful insights. And this is a change, right? And I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm in supply chain since quite a while now, and it is since 2 years, unfortunately, due to the crisis, that we have seen this increased attention. CEOs, C-level executives, they care about this. It's really important. It's a strategic differentiator versus a couple of years ago where we were seen as, oh no, these guys are back. Jesus, it's going to cost a lot of money. And I don't really care. Let's give it to a CEO, right? So this is what I believe is one of the biggest consequences of what is going on in the world today. Right, businesses more dependent on each other than ever before. Kind of already stated this, but the complexity of the way that we do business is tremendous, right? Just take the example of a can of Coke. You would say, as a consumer, well, I'm drinking a can of Coke in the UK. It has been produced here. Bottle comes from the UK, drink it, there you go. No, eventually, if you think about how many stakeholders are involved in just simply producing that can, the ingredients that go into that can, and the way that you drink it, and afterwards what's going to happen with that bottle, it's unbelievable. The complexity is crazy. And somehow it works. Somehow it has always worked. But now with the crisis, we have seen that actually this is a very fragile balance, right? So the dependency on one another is to an extent unbelievable. And supply chains are at the center of that dependency. Again, trying to reduce costs have led to trying to produce as much on one side, making sure that you optimize your logistical processes, just taking the cheapest logistical service provider. The just-in-time principle in manufacturing has been the leading way, right? So this dependency has really created lots of uncertainties. Your supply chain can be a source of strength or vulnerability. What I would like to just give as examples, 4 major examples that we have seen, right? Strategies strategies, that were intended to reduce costs have actually exposed risk. That's the statement. 4 examples that I would like to mention. Planning, supplier consolidation, the big trend of the last 10 years. Reducing the number of suppliers to limit them and making sure that you have cost-based sourcing and increased buffer inventories. Big risk. Production, again, going to global low-cost suppliers, outsource manufacturers as a predominant choice. That just-in-time principle that I just mentioned. Logistics, instead of reaching out to a network of potential logistical service providers, reducing it to just one service provider, mostly based on cost. And last but not least, operations. Haven't mentioned that before, but the way that assets are managed are typically in a reactive mode, whereas there's another alternative. You could proactively do maintenance on your equipment in order to avoid costs. Those are typical examples of how supply chains have evolved from a very efficient, cost-focused area to really an area of vulnerability and risk. What is the impact of global disruptions? Stating some key figures. Everybody likes to do that in presentations, right? But these are kind of striking. I don't know if the audience have seen these figures before, but I believe personally they are very impressive. The first one, almost 100% of customers out there today, of companies, want to become more resilient. I'll try to give you a definition, by the way, later in my presentation on what resilience is from our point of view. Half of companies, however, not even half of companies, have one single source of planning. It's scattered all over the place. Excel spreadsheet, Excel nightmares, all over. Less than half have one single solution for planning. And then, I haven't touched on that either, the circular economy, sustainability. Because we firmly believe it's not only about resilience, but it's resilience in a very sustainable way. Half of supply chain professionals, and I personally believe that my slide needs to be updated because I believe that figure needs to be much, much higher. There's not one customer that we're speaking out there today with that is not concerned about their ecological footprint and about the consequences on sustainability. So, business cannot wait for the transformation it knows it needs. Volatility requires resilience as an operational imperative. Now, this is a gentleman I know very well. He's a colleague of mine. He was joining an event the other week in Helsinki. Yes, also traveling. And I believe that what he said there, and it's kind of I wanted to put this in my deck as an acknowledgement of what he said. He's right. And I'm sure that many of you suffer of this. If a physical good flow faster than the information, then you got a problem, right? This happens all the time. This is really a challenge. Now I'm going to explain you in the coming slides what resilience means, but there's one warning. We know that we need an end-to-end integration of all our supply chain components. We know that we need to integrate it with our suppliers and our customers. But to achieve that, we need technology, like I said. But be aware, don't create a Frankenstein monster. We see this happening all over the place, right? We want to get an integrated platform, an integrated view on all our components of supply chain and procurement, but we want to go best of breed. Best of breed can be the right solution, but be aware that the components need to fit together. Otherwise, you would end up, which I hope you don't want, with a Frankenstein look-like platform or IT setup. So, finally, coming to the point, where I will try to explain you what we believe at SAP is resilience. What is resilient business? Well, you need digitalized operations and supply chain built for speed and flexibility, composed out of 4 components. First one is agility. It's technology as a lever to agility, being proactive instead of retroactive. Second one, productivity. Delivering on the promise of Industry 4.0, making sure that you use technology as a lever to improve production. Improve sustainable production facilities leading to better manufacturing. Connectivity. Connectivity is a promise of the business networks. Getting your suppliers and your customers connected to one network. Now, we will be speaking about business networks later. We have a second session coming up tomorrow, making some publicity for you, Andrea. So the speaker tomorrow is already in the room here today. But tomorrow we will be speaking about that promise of the business networks. Connecting all of your suppliers on the same platform to optimize your insights in supply chains. And then last but not least, sustainability. Really caring about the impact, the ecological footprint that you have on the planet. So when you look at these four elements, putting them together, that's what we believe is the promise of a resilient supply chain. Being proactive, agile, making sure that you improve productivity, being connected, and caring about sustainability. Data latency and information friction are the enemies of speed and flexibility. Be aware of that. Okay, just wanted to go a bit deeper on that sustainability topic. Not necessarily because it's something that we all believe is important. I just wanted to highlight some figures. They are quite impressive if you would look at the figures, but I would just like to pick a few that are so obvious. If you are looking for new colleagues, the millennials, they don't want to work in companies that don't care about the environment. They will pick you if you have a good story. A good story, not only a story on paper, but if you are an environmental caring company, they will prefer to join your company than any else. That's a very important topic, I personally believe. Next to that, if you say, yeah, sustainability, it's interesting, but what is it going to bring to my company, to my revenue? Companies that deliver sustainable solutions are growing almost 6 times faster than other companies. Big impact, if you ask me. If you go to a grocery store, I think it was Unilever who measured that the products who have a sustainable branding were margins 87% higher than the normal brands. Big impact. And also here, I believe that I should update my slides because it states that half of the CEOs, companies, are caring about sustainability. Again, I believe it's 100%, right? You would be really living on another planet if you would not be caring about sustainability today. All right, this is just about sustainability. Coming back to that resilience topic. And again, agility, connectivity, productivity, and sustainability, the 4 Ys, well, last letter, if you wish. It is about removing those gaps between departments. It's about taking away the organizational silos. I want to give you 4 examples. Agility, synchronized planning. I don't know if anybody knows the topic of synchronized planning, but it's the, let's say, the holy grail of business planning, what all of the vendors, companies like SAP are working towards too. It's about making sure that you can plan in every department of your organization, not only in the supply chain division, but that you can go for planning, finance, sales, be it whatever department of your organization, synchronized planning, planning throughout the entire company. Synchronized planning as leading mantra for agility. Connectivity, I mentioned that, the business networks, logistics business networks, assets networks, supplier networks, all on the same environment, all interlinked with your customers and your suppliers. Productivity, the Industry 4.0 mantra. I believe that we are finally here able to say that Industry 4.0 is mature, using intelligent assets, connecting that with your manufacturing, connecting that with your sales, improving production, making sure that you produce the right solutions at the right spot in the right manufacturing environment. And then sustainability, operationalized sustainability. It's really making sure that you reduce your carbon footprint. that you are in a sustainable manufacturing environment. Very important. All of that powered by intelligence, consumable, cloud-based, modular deployments. And what you see on the right side, that is our vision, design to operate. We have 5 different parts, let's say, of the supply chain that we link, breaking down those silos. You start with designing your solutions, then on the right you turn to planning, then you have manufacturing, then you have deliver and operate. All of that in the same connected end-to-end platform. And if you don't believe me, well, still could be, right? I wanted to just show you one slide from a customer. This is not an SAP slide. Look and feel is very different, right? It comes from Bosch Siemens. It's one of our customers in Germany. And this is actually a presentation from them, right? Nothing to do with SAP. They presented this internally to state the obvious, that it is truly important to invest in supply chain to make them more resilient. And I'm going to click, make sure that I have everything. Sorry for that. So it's not my slide. Almost there. Yes. So, starting from the necessarily evil, considering that supply chains are just a cost. That is something, transactional system, where you have to put money in, but doesn't deliver anything, right? It's reactive, it's about the here and now, it's cost-focused, let's try to optimize production, there's no collaboration. There's just silos, right? They are investing to make supply chain a strategic weapon. Proactive, continuous improvements, all functions and external partners on the same platform, and a true source of competitive advantage. This is the promise that they're delivering. Revenue opportunity, sorry, and this is the... And then you have the conclusion. We're not talking about supply chains anymore. We are talking about a competitive advantage. As a company, Bosch wants to achieve this. This is a C-level, CEO-level priority for Bosch. And we're doing that, happy to do that, together with them. Coming to the conclusion of my presentation, SAP offers this end-to-end platform designed to operate, where we clearly connect the different departments, breaking down those silos into one platform that is surrounded, intertwined or integrated, if you wish, with a business network, where we connect all of our customers, suppliers on the same platform. And within the middle, this clear aim to do this in the most sustainable way. Optimizing your planning, making sure that you do as-is or what-if scenarios in a continuous way, improving planning, optimizing inventories. That when you manufacture, the right solutions at the right spot. When you deliver solutions, that you do that in the most efficient way. Optimizing your warehouses, optimizing your transportation, and last but not least, asset management, that you maintain and manage your assets in a proactive way as opposed to reactive. And then we can deliver on that promise that a sustainable, resilient supply chain becomes a competitive advantage. It's about reducing time, and next to that, make net zero the reason to transform and rise, because that is also about time. With this, I'm already at the end of my presentation. Do you have any questions? If you have difficult questions, by the way, you can ask them to my colleagues. I have several colleagues in the room. Maybe quickly stand up so that they know where you are. So that is Andrea. Claire is also somewhere here.
Just to make it clear, Frank doesn't get away with it that easily. If you do have any,
no, come on.
If you do have any hard questions, okay, there's a hand going up there. If we can get a mic over there, that's great. And thank you. We have had some questions come in from our virtual audience as well. But if you can just start by mentioning your name and where you're from, please.
Good morning.
Try again.
There we go. Hi, Frank. Thank you. My name's Anna. I'm from the UK event industry body, ILA.
Good morning.
I think it's really interesting that you've brought in be remiss not to bring in the subject of sustainability. And you've obviously framed this within the context of growth, which makes a lot of sense for the audience. I'm just wondering what your take is in terms of framing resilient supply chains in the context of net zero, as that's a global focus and something that everybody's working towards. How can we be operating in such a way that our processes, the way we design, the way we plan, the way we engage is actually framed around the net zero ambition, because then it's kind of an alignment across businesses in many ways. So I'm just interested in your thoughts on that.
Well, I could give you a very, very long answer trying to really, but that will take us maybe till after lunch. Hope you're ready for that, by the way. But anyway, I would just maybe want to mention one example, just one example, and then we can elaborate later. It's about this design of products. How to make the design of a solution as such that it delivers on that promise. The plastic conversation, if you wish. What we do in the design phase, giving that insights into what is the impact of what you are developing. It's really the PLM solution of things, if you wish. The first part, the design phase, is so crucial because it will have an impact on everything what you do. And referring to that meaningful insights, if you don't have the insight of what is the impact, carbon emission and what have you, on the design, on your product, you already missed the first phase. Then I could continue to the rest of the phases, but I believe the first phase is a crucial one. Does that kind of answer your question? We can continue afterwards if you want.
Yeah, I think maybe take that one after the session as well. I want to try and squeeze in a few questions we've had here as well. You mentioned the role that technology has to play early on in the presentation there. How significant would you say technology is when it comes to building resilience?
Sorry, didn't get the...
How significant is technology when it comes to building resilience?
Well, I honestly believe that it's all about technology. You have to do it in such a way that is obviously sustainable, but technology is the basis of it all. If you want to achieve that resilience goal without investing in technology, I'm not going to say that it's going to be for free, no, but it's going to be very costly, but unless you do it, you will never achieve that resilience.
Okay, are there any more questions from the floor, by the way? Okay, can we take one down here at the front? Just while we're waiting for that, I'm just going to ask one more question and then we'll come to you for your question as well. On a couple of slides there, you talked about agility, productivity, connectivity, sustainability.
Yep.
Which of those is most important?
I think without any doubt sustainability. Everything starts with sustainability. I mean, we have a unique opportunity coming out of the crises, and we are continuously in crisis, I believe. It's a crazy world we're living in, by the way, no? I think everything starts from sustainability. This is the future. I mean, again, I try to recall when I was last time on stage, it's 2.5 years ago, and that wasn't a sustainability conference. And 2.5 years ago, we thought, this is the future. Everything, what we do as of now, will start from sustainability. Well, kind of some things happened over the last 2.5 years that came in between, but we are now back to the third wave. It's about sustainability.
And like you said, your slides, it said something like 48% of CEOs, and as you
said,
it's now 100%.
I need to update my slides because I can't imagine that it's not 100% today.
Well, no, that's good because that illustrates the point of how much more significant sustainability has become.
And that comes back then to technology because we finally have all of the solutions available to achieve that goal. I mean, sustainability, you could kind of on any website of any global corporation, you see, oh, we have reduced our carbon footprint by such. We are ethical sourced companies, etc. But unless you invest in technology that is a lever to achieve those goals, you will never achieve those ambitions. And it will remain, with all due respect, slideware or maybe marketing communication on the first page of any given website.
Okay, thanks for your patience. We'll just take this final question from the floor. If you can just say your name and where you're from, please.
Good morning. My name is Yogesh Vasdev from Presenters Technologies UK. I liked your graph about operational excellence impact and the scope, right? Could you just explain a little bit, how do you build the black swan events into this graph, or the death of the black swans, as you put it?
I don't really get your question, sorry.
Well, the question is, it's a complex graph. You could look at the impact and the scope based on the factors relevant today, or you could build in the future resilience events, sort of some black swan events or the death of the black swan events, which will impact the factors going into these graphs significantly. So my question is, could you just share with us, how do you, where do you stand on the curve? How do you build those factors in?
How do you plan for a black swan event?
Can I take that offline? I don't really have an answer. Prefer to take that offline.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, if you guys connect after this session, that's probably
let's
best.
do that.
Okay, all right, for now, Frank, thanks very much. Thank you, Frank.
Where's the next speaker? Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.